All right, guys, welcome to an episode of Pick Money. I got my buddy here, Alex Schultz. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Appreciate you having me here.
Appreciate you being here. So it's a small world. First of all, when you start talking about making money, meeting people, networking, your wife, okay, so the house I'm in,
Yep.
she sold me that house, right?
Yep.
Okay. And I was trying to remember the other day, and you'll probably remember, how did I connect with her?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
Me neither.
I know they got connected through different people.
No,
and
Kyle.
It was through Kyle.
So the guy, yeah, and I don't know how I'd met Kyle before.
Yep.
And then this house ended up being a great opportunity. She sold it to me, so it's been awesome. She was talking about you. I've seen you guys up and down the intercoastal here, all over the place, seeing at the UFC.
Yep.
Then I'm like, I get to know this guy. So tell us, and your whole concept's intriguing to me.
Sure.
Because a lot of people will say, I want to do something good.
Yep.
You know, I want to take care of my family too.
Of course.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
But you're truly doing something that like nobody can argue is good for all of us.
I appreciate that.
You know what I mean? I
appreciate that.
And because I've, you know, it's funny. People say to me, did you grow up boating? I'm like, dude, my mom didn't have a car.
Yeah.
So no, we didn't live near the water. I lived in the apartment we lived in. But now that I live on the water, it's crazy how angry I get when I see shit in the water.
Yeah.
Like it never, like this morning, I'm like, dude, who throws those plastic bottles in the water? Like who's on their boat and going like, this is funny, and tosses it in the water.
Yep.
So talk to us about what you do, how y'all started it, and what your mission is, because you got one.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of the ocean cleanup company 4Ocean. So we employ captains and crews around the world to collect plastic and trash out of the ocean. We started the business in 2017 under a simple business model. We recover plastic from the ocean, we turn it into products, and then we sell those products to fund additional cleanup. That's how we got started, and what's really like our we call it like a Kickstarter campaign. So that started growing the brand. We expanded our cleanups from Florida to Bali and to Guatemala. And so we employ over 250 full-time captains and crew. And to date, we've removed over 40 million pounds of trash from the ocean. So
40 million.
40 million pounds of trash from the ocean. Yeah, I'm really proud about that number. We've got some amazing captains and crews that work their ass off, and we've accomplished some amazing things together.
All right, so how did this, like, you're how old now?
I'm 33.
When did you decide, like, hey, man, I'm going to help impact the world. I'm going to clean up the oceans. Where did that come from?
So I grew up from a young age. I grew up on a small island on the west coast of Florida. So I spent almost all my time on or in the water. And literally all my hobbies were surrounding the ocean. So, you know, I've always spent all that time fishing, diving, surfing, just really just appreciating the ocean and everything around it. And I think that, you know, I didn't really have a plan to start this business. You know, my buddy and I that started it, you know, I honestly thought that I was going to go into like the marine and boating industry. I'm a licensed captain. I became a captain at a young age. I mean, I was doing charters and tours through college as well as doing valet, and that was how I was getting through school. And it really happened on a surf trip. So a buddy and I took a surf trip to Bali and saw a crazy amount of plastic in Bali. And that's where we kind of came up with the idea, what can we do to fund captains and crew to collect plastic instead of catching fish? So that's how it all started. You know, we've seen successful business models like Tom Shoes and some of these other companies that are doing a one-for-one model. And we said, can we really connect people around the world to want to fund ocean cleanup? And can we help expand these cleanups all around the world? And so we came back to Florida with really a crazy idea. It was just him and I, and we went for it. And very quickly it took off. You know, videos started going viral on social media. We got a ton of different celebrity influence. I mean, we went from 2 of us to over 250 employees in a matter of like a year and a half. So like it exploded in growth. And we got, you know, dozens of vessels expanded to these international locations, and we're creating these jobs. And so, you know, I'm a firm believer in trying to create jobs in these different areas that are impacted by plastic pollution. And so we've been able to create fair living wage jobs for these individuals. We cover 100% of health insurance and benefits, and we've got a 98% retention rate of our cleanup crew around the world. So it's something I'm very proud of, and everybody works their ass off, and we've gotten to over 40 million pounds.
How much trash, how much plastic's in the oceans worldwide?
That's tough, man. It's, you know, they don't really have a specific number that they've put on it, but it's estimated that there's over 34 billion pounds entering the ocean every year. So plastic is increasing at an exponential rate. So right now what we're doing, yes, in the grand scheme of things, it's a drop in the ocean, but really we're trying to leverage the cleanups as an awareness tool to kind of talk about people to really know what's going on, right? How is the plastic getting there? What are they doing? And what can they do on a daily basis to cut it down?
So the plastic sits in there. Like I was talking to a captain one day. I use this term. He's a captain. I don't know how he's a captain.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about. I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't dislike him. I like the guy, but wow.
Yeah.
So, and he was talking to me about, I think it was catfish.
Sure.
And I was like, he was talking about what they eat and all the stuff. And he was like, they eat anything.
Sure.
And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, like trash in the ocean. Like they eat it.
Yep.
So you're telling me that the catfish are so hungry that they're out here, and if they see this plastic, cardboard, they're eating it.
Yeah, there's a lot of animals that eat it. I mean, sharks are known to eat a ton of debris.
And what does it do to them?
Plastic. I mean, it will absolutely kill various different fish. I mean, it's what's happening is the fish are eating this plastic, then we're eating the fish. So it's actually entering our bloodstreams.
I don't eat seafood. See that?
Yeah.
I just don't like it, but I don't eat seafood.
Well, and that's the thing is like a lot of these fish are eating the plastic that's getting marine growth on it. So like they're mistaking it for food, and they are eating it. So that is becoming a big issue across the board. And that's why we're just trying to drive more awareness around trying to stop it from entering the ocean in the first place.
Dude, how does so much trash, this might be a real stupid question, but how does so much trash, what percentage of that trash, if you were guessing, if you were hypothesizing, because you're like Aquaman, you've been in the water your whole life. So if anybody's qualified to answer this, you've been around it.
Yeah.
How much of this is accidentally, do you think, ends up in the ocean, or like just intentionally, I don't give a shit? Like if you had to hypothesize.
So it's a loaded question, and it all depends. But I would tell you that there's a small percentage where there's people that are deliberately dumping. You know, there's a lot of things that are happening around the world. And one of the main reasons why ocean plastic exists is because all this material is being consumed on land, and it's going to these developing countries. So ever since China implemented the Green Fence Initiative, where they shut down the importation of plastic to recycle it, they basically banned all the plastic coming in, the waste plastics, and turning it into a dump. So now countries are going and they're exporting their plastic to basically any country that's going to accept it. And a lot of these countries are just looking to get paid. Like they're trying to generate revenue for their economy. So they're taking this material, it's going to these different informal based landfills. And then what's happening is we've come up with a formula. If you get any area that has a developing country that has a lack of waste management infrastructure, some form of elevation, and a rainy season, you are guaranteed to have all that plastic just end up down in the ocean because people are consuming it in the streets. Anything that's been imported is being tossed in these different areas. And when the heavy rains come, it's being transported into the ocean.
So these are just like makeshift landfills. We'll take your plastic, drop it here, and eventually there's enough rain elevation where it just ends up in the... Nobody set out for that to happen, but...
Correct.
They were smart enough to know it probably will.
Yes.
They were getting paid. It didn't happen overnight, but eventually it went away.
Correct.
And then it just stays in there until somebody like y'all clean it up. Somebody ingests it. But it don't go anywhere.
It doesn't break down. It breaks up. So plastic, that's the big thing about it. It doesn't biodegrade and it doesn't decompose. So you're going to have all these plastic materials breaking up into smaller pieces, but it's always going to be there. It takes hundreds and hundreds of years for this material to break down, where the organic materials can take a month, 6 months, maybe a year for like very complex ones.
How do y'all pick it up?
By hand.
By hand?
By hand, yes.
You take these boats out.
Yep.
And all these people that work on them by hand.
By hand with nets. We don't have giant machines. So there are a few ways that we could go about it. We could look at getting technology and getting massive machines and trying to go about this. And we actually went down that path, and we were starting to invest in that heavily and really go the technology route because we thought it was more efficient. And at the end of the day, people love to see that. They love the idea that a machine's going to solve all our problems and some invention is just going to fix it. But what we realized very quickly is that these machines are actually creating a very difficult process to sort because they're getting all the organic matter, the logs, the wood, the seaweed, animals, and wildlife. Like it's very hard to distinguish. So we found the most efficient thing we could do is to create these local economies around the world and employ locals and local fishermen and have them use the tools, the vessels, the areas that they're already operating out of, and then be able to fund the cleanup with nets individually. So that's what we really viewed as that we'd rather have a million people collecting a small amount of plastic than one machine collecting a ton. We're able to create jobs. We're able to be more efficient with it. We're able to really sort through the plastic efficiently and effectively and then recycle that material.
Because when you were saying they work their asses off, I was thinking, dude, they just push some buttons on a boat. You're talking about they're actually the ones pulling the plastic out of the ocean.
We call it boats, boots, and booms. So we're on boats out in the water, literally collecting it with nets, boots, walking down the coastlines, picking it up by hand, and then boom systems, which are basically booms that are used in the oil spill and containment industry to corral different items. And we use it for plastic. So we put these in rivers to stop the plastic before it reaches the offshore, and then we're collecting it out of that boom.
And there are areas where from current and everything else, you know where it piles up.
Oh yeah.
And you must see some pretty amazingly awful
There's
piles of.
I have seen some of the craziest shit you'd ever imagine, man. I mean, like football fields, absolute football fields that are 10 feet deep of plastic. And
10
no matter
feet deep.
how far you dig, you're just still getting plastic. Yeah, we used to have a cleanup location in Haiti. I mean, in Bali, we've seen plenty of locations. I mean, they're all around the world. It's just nobody knows about them.
So how are you structured? Like, how are you paying all these people? How do you,
Sure.
you got to make money for your family?
Yep.
How does that work?
So on the business side, we have two entities. We have a for-profit, which is a public benefit corporation, and we have a nonprofit. So on the business side, we generate revenue by selling the products. We collect the plastic, we recycle it into products. We then sell that product to help fund. That's our
What's the product?
like bracelets.
Okay.
Basically, bracelets is our main component for our business.
Got it.
That's how we started, and that's how we expanded. Then we grew into our B2B model. And this is where we're partnering with businesses to implement sustainability programs. So one of the offerings that we have is plastic offsets. So think of like carbon offsets, but for plastic. We'll work with a brand and we'll calculate the amount of plastic that they're using in their product, their packaging, or their services, and then we'll remove an equivalent amount of plastic directly from the ocean. Then they get all the marketing, the badges, the certifications, the logos, and then we have all these different opportunities to bring their executive team, get involved, and actually activate that partnership.
That's pretty cool.
So that's like one of our main components on the B2B side. And then another one is what we call our pull a pound partnership. So a business or brand can remove a set amount of trash for every client signed, product sold, or service rendered. So we have a lot of businesses that are like, hey, for every outboard engine we sell, we're going to pull 300 pounds of trash. We have one for every client we sign, we're going to remove 1,000 pounds of trash in partnership with 4Ocean. And so that has really become the core focus of our business, because the D2C side has been, the ups and downs of Facebook are a nightmare.
It's a brutal roller coaster ride.
It's a brutal roller coaster ride. And honestly, it distracts us from our core mission of expanding cleanups. You know, I don't want to be the best at studying algorithms and understanding different digital marketing performance metrics. With this, I can have relationships with an individual, build a solid foundation for a multi-year commitment to our cleanup operations, and we focus on what we do best, which is cleaning the ocean. So we're expanding the B2B side. That's been more of the focus. And the bracelet component is just still a way for people to get involved. So we're just taking a little bit of the focus off of that and really going all in on the B2B side.
So last I'd seen you, I think before this, unless I ran into it, was at the UFC fight.
Yep.
Down in Miami. And you've had a lot of people reach out. So Dana White's one of them.
Yep.
So you're telling me Dana White picks up the phone, gets 4Ocean number, calls the office.
Yes.
Himself.
Yes.
You answer it.
Literally.
And how's that go?
So yeah, big shout out Dana. So you just said it. We got a random call, and at this time we were getting a ton of different calls, and they said it was his assistant and said, "Hey, I'd like to get you on the phone with Mr. White." I'm like, "I'm sorry, who?" She's like, "Mr. White." I was like, "I'm sorry, man." Like, she's like, "Dana White wants to talk to you," and I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
Yeah.
Pick up the phone. Guys, what's up? What's happening? I love what you're doing. I love that you're cleaning plastic. How can I get involved? How can I support you guys? So he's been awesome from the get-go. He's been on a bunch of cleanups. He's brought us out to a bunch of fights. It's been an awesome relationship. He's helped support it. But he's not the only person. I mean, we've had Kim Kardashian reshare our stuff, Ryan Reynolds repping bracelets, Ed Sheeran repping bracelets, Justin Bieber resharing us. I mean, there's been a ton of celebrity influence that people really can get behind what we call the Clean Ocean movement. And the big thing for us is that I view the brand and what we're trying to do, we really try and be inclusive. There's exclusive things and inclusive. What we say is that everybody appreciates a clean ocean.
100%.
We're trying to bring more people together. There's so many
100%.
things in the world that are divisive nowadays. We're trying to bring as many people together and leverage mainstream tactics like influencers, celebrities, athletes to show that there is a problem with the amount of plastic in the ocean and what we can do to have an impact on that. So that's why we're trying to bring more people together. And we've been fortunate to get those celebrities reach out and come on cleanups, rock our stuff, and really just push the mission forward.
So as a businessman,
Yep.
right, you go from a couple employees to a couple hundred.
Yep.
You just talked about it with Facebook. Most entrepreneurs out there have there's a lot of lessons in what you just said.
Yeah.
Because you can go down this path, and before you know it, you've exhausted resources, you've exhausted your time, and then you lose sight of your core mission or making the main thing. What is one of the biggest things that you've, because this is now one heck of a business, one heck of a cause, but it's also one heck of a business. Yeah. And to hear you, and I do believe this across the board, to hear you continue to talk about bragging on what you're able to offer people. You know, what we do for our employees.
Yeah.
That they have benefits, how many we employ, our retention.
Yeah.
That's a crazy focus. What is the biggest business lesson you've learned? You've learned a lot of them, I'm sure. But if I were to, for our aspiring entrepreneurs or business owners, you took something that, and also anybody, it's funny that you say that, because if you like don't, like I couldn't see how anybody would not be in support of the mission. Like there's a lot of things to not be in support of, honestly.
Sure.
You're like,
Yeah,
I don't really understand that. But there's no way in the world, I don't care if you don't ever get to the ocean, that you're like, hey man, I don't care about plastic in the ocean. Of course you do.
Yes.
Like it makes literally no sense.
Yes.
What has been the biggest business lesson you've learned?
I think, honestly, I think the biggest thing is exactly what you just talked about. For me, one thing that we experienced a lot of headwinds and a lot of difficulties was we stepped away from the core mission. You know, with this business grew so quickly and we expanded so fast that we started going nuts with expansion in terms of the business models and what we're trying to do. So, you know, we grew very quickly. We hired a ton of executives, and the idea was we've got lightning in a bottle right now. We need to strike while the iron's hot. So we went from a very simplified business model, selling a limited amount of SKUs of product, staying focused on our cleanups, to we're going to now become this massive lifestyle brand. So we started doing apparel. We started doing beach chairs and beach umbrellas and cutlery and bags and bottles and like you name it. And before you knew it, we had this very streamlined operation with you know, managing the core product, which was very easy to maintain, to this very large warehouse. And now we're focused on implementing ERP systems and working on the warehouse efficiency and focusing on sourcing and product development, all the issues that we're dealing with the personnel aspect of growing that large and then having so many people in there, where the problems that we were waking up and solving every day started to divert from the core focus of the mission of let's do what we need to do to scale the business and scale the funding to fund our cleanups, into how do we become the best lifestyle brand. And so that was one thing that was a big core learning for us, because you know, you learn just exactly what you need to do through these different times. And I think for me, that would be a big piece of feedback, is like, just don't lose sight of exactly what you're trying to do. You know, even though things are growing quickly and it seems like, you know, we have to because the opportunity's there and we're going to scale and this is going to be awesome. And I think you just have to be very calculated and don't rush it, because we definitely rushed it. And I think that mistakes were made, and I made some terrible mistakes. 1,000%. I own up to a lot of the decisions that were made. And I think that's something that I've learned, is that, you know, you got to keep the main thing.
And it's funny, while you're doing that, then it's like, but you also got to push forward and make mistakes.
For sure.
So it's kind of that balance. I love the way you're explaining it, because it's kind of like that balance of, you know, I need to be intelligent. I need to do my recon. I need to get my information. I need to do my market research. And sometimes, like, we got lightning in the bottle. Let's just move forward too.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of both, and it's why obviously it's been so unbelievably successful.
Yeah.
I got a question that's really just more for me, and maybe other people want to know this or not, but I'm trying to understand this. So let's take the cat. Let's take a lot of these fish, right?
Yep.
They're eating things that they shouldn't be eating because they're mistaking it for something, but they're also hungry.
Yes.
Okay. And I like shark fishing.
Yep.
It's the only fishing I really like.
Yep.
I'm sure there's plenty of other amazing fishing. Before you tell me, like, I don't know a lot about fishing. I'm just telling you, like, I like shark fishing.
Yep.
I want to get a bull shark if I can get one.
Yep.
I think they're mean as shit.
Oh, yeah.
I think because they're hungry too, they're grabbing people and killing them.
Yep.
I don't think they set out to eat people, but when they grab you, they're pretty unforgiving.
Yeah.
I was with a guy the other day. He showed us the video of his buddy was, what's that little board they go in the air? Hydra, whatever.
Yeah.
And he just, like, for a minute went in, boom, shark grabbed his leg. He's alive, but like, bull shark scooped him up.
Yeah.
But it could have been his kids.
Yep.
Could have been his wife.
Yep.
But it seems like all these things are really hungry.
Yeah.
Is it, what is happening? And then when they're out there, like, you can only catch so many sharks in a day. And I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, why? And they're like, well, they're endangered, or there's rules.
Sure.
Are we, as human beings, and I'm completely ignorant in this department, are we implementing all these ideas, and is that screwing up our food chain? Is it screwing up? Like, is there not enough for them to eat?
Sure. Because
we're saying, you big bad boys, we're going to help you. You're going to eat everything. You're eating the cardboard and plastic because you're freaking hungry. You're mistaking it for marine biology, but you're still hungry.
Yeah.
What is happening there?
So it's a very controversial topic, because there's different areas of conservation and really repopulation that's happening with different species. And a lot of people get into the topic because some of these areas they're protecting certain species, but then there's overpopulation and there's a lot of things that are happening. there's also a big human element. So what's happening a lot with sharks is they're being introduced to different habits because of what's going on, right? People cleaning fish regularly in canals.
Oh my God, dude!
People
Do you
feeding them,
not know what happens when you do that?
Yeah.
They come like a feeding mother effing frenzy. I
Yes.
was in Sailfish Marina.
Yep.
On them sea bobs.
Yep.
Me and my buddy, and the guys are screaming at me, and I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, relax.
Yeah.
And then he's like, dude, there's bull sharks everywhere.
Yeah.
And then we get out. I was like, oh shit, there are sharks everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because they come in and clean them, and obviously they
Yes.
ask them to come in.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
So and that's the whole thing is that it's a conditioned habit where what's happening is they're and it's a conditioned response. So what's happening is people are feeding fish or cleaning fish and feeding the sharks. They're interacting with them. You have these different things. I mean, like the hydrofoil, like the motor is putting out a certain vibration frequency that could mimic like an injured fish, right? So like there's
Really?
Oh yeah, 100%.
know that
There's
shit.
different things that can happen where bull sharks react to it in a different way, and I think
You
that
should take
that's
one of those out in the water then.
Yeah,
He's like, I ain't never doing that.
yeah, and
Well,
there's
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Sure.
I think we should be able to catch as many bull sharks as we want.
Yep.
I think we should be able to catch. They're mean motherfuckers.
they're mean.
They are mean.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they're mean.
Yep.
They're and it's okay they make plenty, but they are tough enough themselves.
Yeah.
You catch them? You ever fish for them?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they don't play.
Yeah,
When
no,
you bring them in there,
we do a lot of diving with them, and
you do a lot of diving with them.
Yeah. So spearfishing and diving, and there's I mean we regularly see sharks when we're diving, things like that.
Don't you ever think the bull shark's just going to mistake you and grab your freaking leg?
I mean, well, when you're shooting fish, you gotta
Yeah.
like play defense. Like so it's very
how do you play
integrated. Like,
defense against a shark?
you just pushing them off with the gun, with the pole spear, anything that you have.
So you've had sharks come up to you when you're spearfishing.
more times than I count.
Okay.
Anybody in the dive industry that's free diving, that's spearfishing, or even a good portion of scuba.
All right.
You're dealing with
so
sharks
you're
on a
down
regular
there doing your
basis.
thing spearfish,
Yeah.
and you're
Yes.
like, oh shit, here comes a shark.
Yeah.
You take your gun and what? You just push. Why does they go away?
Yeah. Like they'll come and crowd you. I mean, I got a couple of videos I can show you some gnarly stuff. But yeah, like they'll come in. They'll either try and get the fish if you've shot a fish, or they'll come around and kind of circle around you and they're just checking you out.
Yeah.
But
They're just checking you out.
yeah, the sharks really have a demeanor comparable to dogs, right? So like there's different personalities, and one of the things about maintaining eye contact and standing your ground and not turning into that kind of panicked fray, like prey, mindset mentality. So you literally have to like hold your ground. You want to keep your eyes on everything. Like tiger sharks are that way too, right? So whenever diving with tiger sharks, you have to maintain eye contact. As soon as you dip around and
They grab you.
Oh, like they're very curious. So they'll come in. So you have to redirect them. So push their nose or push their face. Bull sharks are not like that. Bull sharks are fast and mean
I
and
know
crazy,
they are,
and
bro. They're nasty.
they have more testosterone than like any other animal, I believe. And they're mean. So you want to keep some distance. So you typically have.
Are those
something to keep-
protected?
to be honest with you, I'm not an expert on the conservation status of bull sharks and the protected status of them, but they're everywhere.
They're nasty.
They're nasty.
We need to take them things out.
As long as the biggest thing is that there needs to be a balance, right? There has to be a balance in the environment. And I don't know, each area that you go to can be very different in terms of the amount of animals that are in a different area. It's just like those stories you hear of like, oh, well, they reintroduced like 10 wolves into the national park. And next thing you know, in 10 years, the entire ecosystem is thrown off of balance. So like, everything has to be in equilibrium. And I don't know enough about the different conservation status around them on here. But I know it's a controversial topic.
Dude, I have never, ever seen anything like a bull shark. I've never messed with anything like a bull shark. Like you said, they are mother effing mean.
Yeah.
For real, just mean.
Yeah.
Just like I'm coming. And which is interesting to put, but like to think about the other animals trying to exist with them.
Yeah.
I love when people that's what's great about people. Like we all have such different life experiences. And you're like, yeah, man, I just like too many times I just push them away and I stand my ground. And people are like, yo, if I was that close to a shark, I'd have a heart attack and die,
Yeah.
Now, me, I'd be more apt to want to like just take them out. But then again, that ain't good. Like going at them, they're crazy and mean and the whole deal. Stand your ground. But some dogs need to be put down.
Yeah.
And some sharks on occasion need to be put down. That's all I'm saying. What is the craziest thing? You must have seen some pretty crazy shit that y'all pick up.
Yeah.
What is some of the craziest stuff you've seen in the middle of God knows where that's floating around the ocean?
We've yet to find a square group or a bundle of $100 bills, or at least the team hasn't reported it. But
well, if they find it in the middle of the ocean, isn't it theirs?
It's fair game, right?
That's what I would think.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really take it for money, but it's in the middle of the ocean.
But we found some crazy stuff, man. Dead bodies for sure.
You found dead bodies.
Yeah, dead bodies. More in Bali and in Guatemala. Guatemala was very common.
And how long were they dead for?
It depends. Some of it changes. Like so, Guatemala, there's a river, the Rio Motagua, which is the largest river in really the Americas, and it's driving, or at least the largest polluting river, and a lot of people will be potentially disposed of in this river, and when people are going down, so you get animals
just get killed and tossed in the river.
Yeah.
In Guatemala.
I think that we found it in Bali too. We literally have found dead bodies floating in Bali. I mean, it's crazy to see. It's not crazy. It's not very often. Like this is once every now and then. But there's some gnarly stuff out there.
So you got to call the law
call
enforcement,
the officials, call the
being
stuff.
like, we got a dead body.
Yeah.
We should go to that place in Guatemala.
Yeah.
Holy
Crazy.
shit. Yeah, I guess so.
Crazy.
That's a different.
Yeah.
What is so the company? What is your plans over the next however many years? Like you're on a mission. You should be really, really. You got really good energy, dude. I really like talking to you.
Appreciate that.
Really like what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
You really just. I mean it. I think it's, and like you said, there's enough divisiveness in the country.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have something where it's really hard to. A lot of stuff I can say, you might go, I don't agree with that. I do agree with that, but cleaning the plastic out of the ocean just seems to be unanimously a good idea.
Yeah.
Where do you see the company heading to? What are y'all looking to accomplish over the next couple of years?
So the goal is to expand cleanups. We're trying to hire as many captains and crew as possible, grow our fleet as large as possible, and do so by expanding both the for-profit entity that is developing sustainable revenue models to continue to fund our growth, as well as expand the philanthropic side and the nonprofit side. And so I think right now what we're looking to do is expand into different international countries. We're looking at hiring more captains and crew and really focusing on how can we become more efficient with cleaning more plastic out of the ocean. And that's on the cleanup side. Then on the more awareness side of creating the brand, creating the lifestyle, right? I say it a lot, like we're trying to make sustainability cool. We're trying to make cleaning the ocean cool so that people can look at these different celebrities, these different people as role models in that sense and be like, you know what? Yeah, I will cut down on the amount of plastic I'm consuming. I will try and transition away from these different materials and be more conscious about the shit that's ended up in the ocean. And so I think for me, trying to build a global brand that can have enough of an influence on the amount of plastic entering the ocean is one of the main focuses, and doing so by just keep pounding it and getting after it and cleaning the ocean.
And you must also find such a there's so many people that probably want to do this, right?
Yeah.
From a work, must be nice from an employment standpoint.
Yeah.
To have so many qualified people.
Yes.
Who are like, hey man, this means a lot to me too.
Yes.
Like this hits me.
Yeah.
So I'm in. Because a lot of times when you're building a business, it's really hard to find the right employment pool.
Sure.
Because you're like, I'm going to get a job. Well, this is a lot more than a job.
Yes.
It's
a mission.
It's a mission.
Yeah.
Like when I used to work, I worked with abused, neglected children for 14 years.
Yep.
There's a mission.
Yeah.
Like people come in, I'm like, dude, if it's a job to you, it's but most of us had a messed up childhood that we were trying to fix.
Yep.
We became a social work major. We got a degree, and then we're like, hey, let's go fix some people's families since ours was so screwed up.
Sure.
It was a mission. We didn't get paid. We got paid, but it was like, we loved our job. And there were some
100%.
people that came in and were like, I want a job. Do you see some people that join you that don't understand, or when you interview them, what are you looking for? When you're interviewing people and you're bringing them on, what is one of the biggest things you're looking for in people?
I think I'm looking for three things: effort, attitude, and trust. Those are the three things that when we look for different people to join the team, we really want them to give that solid effort and be committed to what we're doing. We want the attitude to be 100% there, to be trainable, to be coachable, and to trust them. I think that's super important for having a solid employee. And then having that dedication and buy-in to the mission is crucial. Like we get some people that we've interviewed, and I don't really think, to be honest with you, I really don't think that we've had, I don't want to say anyone. I mean, definitely some that are less than others. But like for the most part, almost every single person we've ever worked with has been pretty bought into the mission.
Yeah.
There's been a few people that are like, all right, little, kind of different side of it, or different motives on what they're trying to do professionally. But for the most part, I think almost everybody has been awesome. And that's one thing that we really focus in on is who is dedicated to what we're doing and willing to commit to grow the mission and do what we're doing and have the extra effort that is needed to scale a business, scale the brand, and scale the impact.
And it ain't easy either, because when you get on the open ocean, when you're doing anything, because I grew up in Connecticut.
Yep.
And I remember my buddy one day, he's like, what are you gonna do this summer? I said, I'm gonna go work as a deep sea fisherman.
Yep.
Out of Stonington. And he was like, dude, do you know anything about that? And
Yeah.
I was like, no, I mean, I don't know anything about fishing, but how hard can it be? I work
Yeah.
hard. I like working out.
Yep.
I'm not afraid of nothing. Like, I was living on a boat.
Yep.
And I ended up playing ball that summer. But I talked to one of my other buddies who went out. I was like, how was it? He goes, I ain't never doing that ever again. That's what I mean. He goes, dude, that was the hardest work I've ever. And it was damn dangerous. I'm like,
Yes.
what do you mean dangerous? He's like, dude, you're in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea what's. I'm
Yes.
assuming you've gotten in some pretty, like, it gets rough.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It gets crazy.
Oh yeah.
The weather.
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. Weather, tides, conditions. I mean, boats loaded down with thousands of pounds of plastic that you got to manage. I mean, like there's a lot of stuff that goes down that you got to be on your A game 100%. You got to be ready for it.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, man. First of all, I need some of those shirts.
We got
I'm gonna
you.
buy some of them. I need some
100%.
larges. That.
We'll get you
by the way, I
dialed.
love the color and
Yeah.
the logo. I said that when I
Appreciate
saw the
that.
UFC deal.
Yeah, yeah.
That blue really pops.
I appreciate that.
So I like that a
It's the
lot.
Four Ocean Blue, baby.
Well, if they want to find you, they want to help, they want to be involved, they want
Yep.
to be philanthropic. Where do they find you?
So they can find us at 4ocean.com on the website. We're on all socials at the number 4, the word ocean. And then my personal socials are just Alex J. Schultz, SCHULZE. You can find me on there and follow the journey. Follow what we're doing.
Dude, first of all, thanks for being here, man.
Of course, I appreciate you
I
having me.
appreciate you.
Thank
now,
you.
y'all got you, and I apologize for asking. You
Yeah.
have a kid.
I got 2.
2 now. I thought
now.
it was 1.
Yes, no, 2, man. I got 2 under 2. So we've got my first son, Connor, he is just under 2 years old. And then we've got our second son, Chase, who's 4 months. So we are in the middle of it right now.
You guys are going to be beasts. Those kids are going to
Yeah.
be solid.
Oh,
Between
yeah.
the 2 of you, man, they're going to be all good.
They're already
So,
on the water, man. We're living it. And honestly, that has been an absolute life changer. And I'm so stoked to be a dad.
good for you, man.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Thanks for
Appreciate
being
that.
here.
Of course.
Thanks for joining. Like, subscribe, share. Please find them. If you don't like this cause, there's something wrong with you.
Appreciate
If you
you,
don't
man.
like me, you cannot like me. You cannot like somebody I said, but you don't like what they're doing. There's something wrong with you. You need to get yourself checked out. So we appreciate you jumping on. Thanks, man.
course,
Thanks
man.
for all your support.